Hello and welcome everyone. It is time to enter the kumite. Remember, this is not a sport. You don't play fight. What's up, fight fans? Today we're going to be taking a closer look at the upcoming title fight between Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. Today we're joined again by MMA enthusiast Cole Halverson. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
All right, guys. Starting off, Charles Oliveira is coming into this fight as a negative 160 favorite and Justin Gaethje as a plus 140 underdog. And honestly, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I'm not going to count Gaethje out. He definitely can put Charles Oliveira away, but I do kind of lean to Oliveira, so these odds seem just about right. And after what we saw with Khabib and Gaethje, I don't know. If I didn't see that fight, I would lean more to Gaethje than Oliveira coming into this.
But that showed a potential hole.
Yeah.
So I just want to say how excited and stoked I am for this fight, guys. Charles Oliveira, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting people in the UFC to watch. He has one of the most unorthodox styles in the UFC, making him a difficult match for just about anybody in the division. For those new fight fans that don't know Charles Oliveira, please let us shed some light on the man. Charles grew up in the favelas of Sao Paulo, Brazil, where he got his nickname Do Bronx. When Charles was young, he developed rheumatic fever, primarily affecting his ankles, along with a heart murmur. While doctors gave him a slim chance at a full recovery, Charles began free classes at a local BJJ gym as part of a social program, and then continued to improve enough to stand on the world stage as a champion.
Yeah, they actually predicted that he was going to be a paraplegic.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think of him being in the UFC today.
Just the strides that he made as a young man just to get out of the slums is impressive enough.
Yeah.
This should give you a good idea of what Charles is willing to go through in that cage. He was chasing championship gold for 10 years before finally achieving his goal in 2021, beating Michael Chandler with a slick counter check left hook. I, for one, am a huge Oliveira fan. I can only say so much, though. This guy's record speaks for itself.
Yeah, he did not have that title handed to him. He had some ups and downs throughout his career, some ebbs and flows. But overall, he took those losses to heart, and he went back to the drawing board. He got better, and here he is. Now he's an inspiration to people who did suffer some losses, some unfortunate losses throughout their career, you know?
10 years perfecting his craft, dude.
Yeah, because some people, they come in, they're just so talented, they're so good, and you know they get to the title really quickly and they win the title, and you know they have this undefeated record. But someone like Charles Oliveira had to take those losses, you know. So he's an inspiration to people who did take some losses that they never saw coming, and you know you can bounce back and you can still get that title if you really want.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira is a third-degree black belt in BJJ and has a pretty extensive background in competitive BJJ. After compiling a solid number of medals in the lower ranks, he began focusing on MMA. Since then, Oliveira has broken the record for submission wins within the UFC, coming in at a whopping total of 15 submission finishes. He also holds the record for the most finishes with 18. Obviously being pretty heavily carried by the submissions. So he has 3 KOs or TKO wins, all of which have come a bit more recent in his career. So this just goes to show the ways in which he has improved. His wrestling has come a long ways as well, and that really helps him to impose his high-level BJJ. So if I see Oliveira winning this fight, I see it happening with his grappling.
I believe, as I'm sure most people believe, that Charles' biggest strength is his submission offense.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is he able to get the submission, but he can do it from literally anywhere. On his back, on your back, standing up, north, south. It's truly one of the most impressive things to watch. One of my favorite things about Oliveira is the risk that he takes to get these submissions. Most fighters would consider being on your back one of the worst positions to put yourself in, but Oliveira makes this his most dangerous weapon. This guy goes into the cage where you're allowed to punch and kick your opponent, but this guy decides he wants to hop on your back and make you tap. And he's done this to almost everyone he's come across. That's terrifying.
Gaethje has good wrestling, apparently.
We don't really see it, though.
But he has good wrestling. He is a Division I All-American wrestler. Hopefully he's going to use that at some point. I don't think this would be the fight to pull it out of the, toolbox.
Not a
but
good ground game.
But Oliveira has improved dramatically on his wrestling. He doesn't have a wide arsenal of takedowns, but he utilizes his understanding of grappling to really take away people's defensive tactics. For example, in his rematch with Jim Miller, he gets his head underneath the left arm of Miller, lifting him up and having his back. Miller does a good job at using his left leg to hook around the right leg of Oliveira. This makes it to where Oliveira can't just throw him to the ground, as he has a good point of leverage. But watch how Oliveira angles himself away from the hook and yanks his leg free. This allows Oliveira to slam Miller to the ground while maintaining back control. I mean, this is just beautiful work from Oliveira. This is exactly the place that Gaethje does not want to be. If Oliveira gets his back, then I don't see him getting out of there, because Oliveira is like the human spider monkey of the UFC. The one thing that worries me for Oliveira is what has always worried me about his fights. I went into this extensively on our breakdown of him versus Dustin Poirier, but we'll hash at it again for this one. Oliveira doesn't move his head much, and his stance is very tall. It's a pretty easy target for someone with good boxing. He's also an offensive fighter, so sometimes we see him walk into things, and we've seen him get rocked and dropped many times throughout his career. Another thing that has been a topic of conversation is Oliveira's vision. Apparently, without his glasses, he can only see at about 50%. If this is true, then it's no wonder that he doesn't move his head, because he can't effectively see the strikes that are coming his way. He has good offensive striking, and he likes to walk someone down after they've just missed a strike or finished a combo. He's a lot better when he's coming forward, that's for sure. He doesn't do too well when someone gets him backing up. That's why he likes to be in control of the exchanges. You're reacting to what I'm doing. He's gotten a lot better about keeping his guard up, but a guard isn't really going to protect you if you don't have the evasion to back it up, at least not in MMA. This isn't kickboxing. This isn't boxing. You have to move along with your guard. Otherwise, someone's going to find a way around it, or they're going to shoot you for a takedown, or they're going to hit you with the uppercut. So you can't really lean on that high guard in MMA. He's also very prone to getting tagged when he goes for the front kick to the body or the low kicks. There are a lot of times where he'll throw them from too close a distance and get punished for it. Another thing that worries me is Oliveira's tendency to wrap up tie clinch when someone is in close. Gaethje has a lot of power, and I could see him landing some big hooks or uppercuts while Oliveira is trying to line up that knee from clinch. Someone like Justin Gaethje can definitely find these shots that can put Oliveira away. The opportunities are there.
Yeah, Charles has one hell of an obstacle with Justin Gaethje. Gaethje loves a challenge, and he loves to brawl. He couldn't have displayed this more clearly than during his win over Michael Chandler. Both men acknowledge each other's power after a 3-round gladiatorial beatdown. The point is, Gaethje enjoys what he does, and he's really, really good at what he does. He has one of the most well-balanced techniques on his feet, mixing it up to the head, to the body, and making sure to keep his opponent off balance with quick and effective leg kicks. However, where Justin lacks is in his submission defense. Sure, he has shown to have enough of a wrestling background to avoid being put on his back often, but when he is put on his back, it's a struggle to get back on his feet, as we saw in the Khabib fight. If Justin has improved on his reversals and his wall walking, he may have a decent chance against Oliveira.
Yeah. One thing that Gaethje has going for him in this one, like we were talking about, is his low kicks. If Oliveira can't get the timing of those low kicks and grab them, then I see it becoming an issue in the fight very quickly. Justin Gaethje is known for his powerful leg kicks, chopping people down, even getting finishes with them earlier in his career.
It's brutal.
It led to some of his knockouts now, but I remember getting excited about him joining the UFC back in the day when he was stopping fights with the leg kicks. The low kick is one of the safest attacks you can use in MMA. As long as you have your range down and your timing, it's really hard to punish. Gaethje has also gotten a lot better at fighting from different ranges, and I feel like that's going to really give him more options to apply them. Before, he would just force himself into your range and slam the kick in. Now he can throw the low kick and dance around the outside and wait for another opportunity. Oliveira also stands very tall and can somewhat leave his leg out there, so look for Gaethje to time some low leg kicks in this one.
Yeah, Gaethje is more than willing to trade with someone in the pocket too. He'll condition with those powerful leg kicks and then explode up top. Against the cage is where he is most dangerous, I feel, pulling your head down in a tight clinch, then sneaking in powerful uppercuts and elbows. If you think pushing away and escaping is an option, he'll definitely try to sneak in a long right hook or left hook, depending on which way you go. Unfortunately, with Gaethje's all-or-nothing outlook on fighting, he can often gas himself out. This is not any reason to count him out, though. Justin is notorious for his recovery time and his steel chin. We've watched this dude take some nasty shots that would have knocked out anyone else in the division. But the dude is a freaking zombie and just comes back to life.
Yeah, and he may get kind of tired, but he always maintains his power. You know, he might lose some of his speed. He might lose some of, you know, the versatility of his footwork. But he always keeps that power.
It just takes one, dude.
Yep. If I see Gaethje winning the fight, then I see it being by knockout. He has some of the heaviest hands in the division. I mean, even with his stance, you can see that he's putting his all into these punches. He keeps a lot of weight on his back foot to really spring into the punch, and he'll torque his entire body with his hooks. He has the power and the volume to go with it, which is kind of rare. He's constantly coming at you with power and combos. And make no mistake, he is there to break you down. If you go to sleep early, then that just makes it all the better. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Gaethje break Oliveira down over 3 or 4 rounds till he just can't take it anymore, or put Oliveira out cold while he's skirting along the outside of the cage with a shot similar to what he caught James Vick with.
That was nasty, dude.
Yeah. The main thing that worries me for Gaethje in this one is his grappling. He's a strong wrestler, again, apparently, but his BJJ, his judo, his sambo, whatever it is, it's lacking. I mean, Khabib was doing whatever he wanted to him once he got him on his back, transitioning straight into full mount both times. He would have tapped him out at the end of round 1 if there was just another 10 or 15 seconds left. But then second round, he got him back down, transitioned straight into full mount again. I mean, Khabib made it look like he was doing like a grappling instructional video in there. And when Gaethje throws big, if Oliveira ducks underneath and times that takedown, then I do see him doing something very similar. Oliveira doesn't have the pedigree of wrestling that Khabib does, but his BJJ and submissions are truly something to behold. I mean, Gaethje had no guard in that Khabib fight, and he didn't know how to get himself out from underneath him. He really didn't. He looked like he had no game plan, and he looked like he had no answer. And I could be wrong just because it's Khabib, and Khabib is one of the greatest grapplers of all time.
Arguably the greatest grappler to ever walk.
Arguably so. But I feel like this is a big weakness in his game, at least at the highest level. And Oliveira is definitely the highest level of grappling.
Absolutely. Well, ultimately, I see Justin gassing himself out by the end of the second or third round, with Charles taking advantage of maybe a mistimed leg kick or maybe a mistimed hook and taking Gaethje down. So I'm getting specific. Within the last 2 minutes of the second round, I see Oliveira winning via submission. I don't know what insane submission Charles will pull. Could be a rear naked, could be a standing guillotine, could be a Darce. Maybe we'll see something new. But I don't think Gaethje's walking home with the belt.
Interesting. Ultimately, though, I'm also going with Oliveira, but I'm going to say it's going to be a third round rear naked choke. I see him getting Gaethje's back to the cage at some point in this fight and attacking the takedown. And while Gaethje is widening his base and trying to defend, I see Oliveira getting that hook in and transitioning to the back and working his magic from there. I would say round 2, similar to the Khabib fight, but I don't think Oliveira is going to push the pace quite as aggressively as Khabib did, because Khabib had Gaethje looking downright exhausted going into the second round. I see the first round being a lot of feints and both guys trying to feel out the distance, and the second being a good back and forth. In the third is where I see Gaethje not having the same kind of speed to get out of the pocket and Charles pushing him up against the cage. That's twice in a row that I'm calling for Oliveira via third round rear naked choke. But hey, man, I just call it like I see it. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Gaethje pulls it off. The openings are there, and he's got the tools to do it. But I just think Oliveira has that ace in the hole. He just doesn't have as effective of a route to get there as Khabib. It's a tough one to call, and I'm excited to really see how the lightweight division pans out after the retirement of Khabib.
These are some really exciting fights.
Yeah. And UFC, you can tell, is having a bit of a hard time trying to re-hype people up for the champion, just because it's hard for a promotion to make everyone think that this is the best fighter in the world when the previous best fighter in the world just retired undefeated. So they're in a rough spot right now.
Yeah.
Especially because Khabib dominated Gaethje. So if Gaethje does come out here and knock out Oliveira, then that looks bad.
That looks like
That looks really bad.
that's a bad question to have.
Yeah, you want Oliveira.
What if Khabib was still here?
Yeah, because you want the UFC at least wants Oliveira to win this fight. Because if Gaethje wins this fight, then some people are just going to do MMA math, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, if Gaethje beat Oliveira, then Khabib would have beat Oliveira too. Khabib's still the best, and he's just not here, and we have to settle for second, third,
Right.
fourth, fifth best."
And then the UFC suffers because they no longer have the best fighters in the world.
Yeah, the best fighter in the world at lightweight is doing his thing,
He walked away.
feeding children in Africa.
He's coaching all the new guys coming into the division.
Yeah. So if Oliveira does win, then we can still have the questions like, well, what would have happened between Khabib and Oliveira? We don't know. The greatest judo and sambo practitioner that we may have ever seen in the UFC versus one of the greatest BJJ artists that we've ever seen in the UFC. That's an interesting, pitch to make, So I don't think the UFC wants Gaethje to win. And I don't think Gaethje will win. But I could be wrong. Gaethje's really good. He's got heart for days. He's got knockout power. I don't know. I'm going with Oliveira.
Oliveira. Yeah.
With that, I'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you like the content we're providing, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you disagree with our picks, make sure to berate us down in the comments below. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can even follow me personally on Twitter. Remember, this is not a sport. You don't play fight.